That's one, keen understanding of the psychology. Second is those game elements we spoke about, which are in line with that psychology. The third, the technology piece is important because gamification is just an invitation to the party. Once you come to the party, what happens there, if you don't have adequate measurements, right, you don't know what the feedback loop is. And that's the usefulness of technology. So gamification along with analytics is a game changer. Gamification by itself could just be great for engagement, right?
Yeah,
So
I was not debating with technology. I was just saying that we tend to straitjacket it.
Yeah.
So maybe we could look at it beyond platforms and say, see where we can use it in terms of workshop facilitation or things like that.
Absolutely.
Was
I'm
my
completely in
submission.
agreement with you. And your second question was,
Learning,
yeah, why do we-
effectiveness of learning.
and
So-
I completely agree with you. So there's no debate here, because if you just gamify something that's dull and boring, you get a million points, a million badges, a million leaderboards. Over time, people will ask you, so what? I've got a million points, so what next, right? So unless that core content itself is immersively gamified, I don't think this strategy is going to stick for a long. It's not sustainable. At best, it is old wine in a new bottle. People will see through it. So the content by itself has to be rethought, right? So it's not just enough if you add a layer of points, badges, and leaderboards. That's not sufficient.
I think if I can say, Lego Serious Play, LSP, the building blocks company Lego has come up with this. So hands-on experience for the trainers and the workshop. LSP is the best example. Gamification is not necessarily compute-oriented. It's definitely hands-on experience.
I also wanted to actually respond to you. I completely agree with your first point. So it is not about technology. In fact, that's what I was trying to, when I spoke about pilot and the game I was playing. So it's beyond technology, and so many other examples that he also has been sharing and they've been sharing. So it's beyond technology. It's not only about technology. So it's not about either or technology. It is both, obviously. Second point, learning. I don't know, if you have to live, if you have to survive, if you have to be, you have to learn. So when you are making a viewpoint also, you are learning. So at any point in time, you are learning whether you know it or not. So it's not about, for example, the whole nation woke up to a game night before last. And suddenly it took all of us to our WhatsApps, and suddenly WhatsApps became even more busy than Diwali time. So all that can be seen as a game. And can you put that to some interesting use in your organizational context? Can you create a very unplanned, unstructured kind of experience for your learner club, for your employees? See, we have this tendency to actually be in control of what is going to happen. But thanks to Yammer kind of groups, we have an opportunity to actually just not really try and control it, but let it be. Let people create self-help groups. Let them learn on their own. Let them go beyond good morning and happy messages, and actually start seeing how it actually starts acting out on learning. For example, I met Rajiv 3 years ago for the first time in one of the forums, and I like him for what he's doing, but I have not worked with him because of this, what you are saying. This is one big reason. We are trying to understand gamification per se and how we take to it ourselves as our community of workers within this company. But it does not mean we are excluding technology, or we are using technology, but we need to be doing it both ways and not only getting carried away with technology as a new big toy in our hands.
I think the question is a great question, and I think when it comes to gamification, Rajiv explained it the best way. Gamification is engagement. Okay, you reward yourself if you do this. But what actually we are talking here is not gamification, game-based learning. We are not using that phrase, we are just using it as gamification, game-based learning. The reason, if you read a lot of things, retention is a problem. But if you play games, you enjoy, and the learning obtained through games, retention is better. Okay? And you asked another intricate part of your question was, why technology? Why are you linking it to technology? Simple answer is, you don't have to. If you have a way of physically playing games and learning through that process, you don't have to use technology, right? Technology does two things. One is, if you don't have instructor available, how do you learn? Technology helps you, okay? Second is, human brain has limitations, okay? gaming has lot of what ifs conditions. If this happens, what happens? If that happens, if you do all that permutation combination in human brain, it will go to a jam, human brain jam. But technology does it very well. So technology takes away some of the limitations of human brain. That's why technology is frequently used. So if that helps.
Yeah, we have some other questions coming up.
Actually, a decade ago, teachers and facilitators in the college never used technology. And still they are stuck up with this. And the disruptive technology is still making them not understand what's going on. How to make them effective in teaching process?
I don't really know. I have to think this through. I mean, we struggle in the corporate world already, and now to go to academia. Anyone in the audience who can answer that better, who has perhaps experiences? Yes, go for it.
So, ma'am, so I just shared my example that I'm not doing it virtually, but I have done it in terms of physical setting. I just shared how we did an event and throwing and making the students learn HR concepts via playing games. And we ran it and it has worked. Like, for example, I'll give an example of a game. We play that blindfolded game, right? Now what we were supposed to do in that game was, students didn't know the meaning of pink slip, layoff, termination, promotions, transfer. Now to help them learn and retain, so we made the roadblocks, okay? And a person is supposed to guide the other person now. The person who guides the other person cannot, the blindfolded person, cannot use the word forward, backward, left, right. There was a chart made. He has to continuously look at the chart. For forward, he has to say promotion. Lateral transfer. If you, you falter once, you have to say layoff. And the meanings were explained to them. And like this, we devised lot many games, but in a physical setting. So further, if I can just continue, ma'am, to ask a question as well.
Yeah, just wrap it up.
Since I have experimented with this model, ma'am, we call it as edutainment. There's a word called edutainment, engaging games and funs into education. Now, my question is, if we start involving technology, now everything has, flip also to it. So, two questions. How do we demarcate between, technology or gamification, just doing it the right or overdoing it, because it may lead to addiction, number one. And number second, especially for Tanya, ma'am, since you've been there in ACC and you've handled militant kind of trained union people, how do you change their mindset to get adopted to this?
Good question. So while we were talking, Monopoly is the game that we played as children, and that's something which, which even teachers can come about. So coming to the how do you change? Okay, so let me tell you. So I came into a situation, and this is a very practical situation. I came into a situation where the HR head was fired, the CEO was fired. I had unions in Bombay, in Chennai, in Kolkata, and really it was all over the place. So what do we use? While it was not gamification, it was a real life situation, and most of the work that I do is real life. What we did is to try and identify how do you use technology to provide solutions, right? So it was a time when we had to get people together very quickly, sharp. I had to have 750 people within 2 weeks of my joining, right? So which means that I had to get people into huddles. And how do you get people into huddles? Through Skype, through telepresence. So that's really what we did. But while it is not really gamification, it's a real life situation, but again, technology, use of technology to ensure that you up your game, you up what you want to do. And the reason why we use technology is today organizations, we have TCS sitting here with 3,75,80,000 people. We sit approximately with the same number in India, 1,60,000. So what we do is we use technology. If you look at SR, okay, a company like SR, so they're also using technology. They air what it is that they are doing on a weekly basis or a fortnightly basis to ensure that people understand the culture, that people understand products. That's what he was trying to say. Okay? So there are different methodologies that we use. I hope I have answered your question.
Hi, this is Nawang from TCS. So, we've seen how we've transitioned from instructor-led trainings to digital to gamification.
The boundaries on what is next, right? So we've done gamification, we've had great success with that. So one of the things that quite excites me, and I spend a lot of time these days on this, is artificial intelligence and augmented reality. Let me just give you a sense for what is possible with augmented reality, especially for vocational training. For example, right now, think about it. I'm sure you've bumped into an electrician at your place, right? In your apartment, bulb blows off, and you call this guy. He comes in. You have a conversation with him. You ask him, "How did you end up becoming an electrician?" What is he likely to tell you? Most likely, his uncle was an electrician. He had the kit with him, and one of these days he said, "Why don't you come along with me?" And that's how he got into the trade, right? So. And what is his learning process? Trial and error. He is basically learning by doing damage to all our homes, right? There's no structured learning path. So even if it is structured like the ITs of the world, they spend a lot of time training skills that may become soon irrelevant. Now think about a scenario where something like a Google Glass, right? You wear this device, it's a wearable technology, and you look at the device. So in fact, BMW has implemented this. You open the engine, you look at the engine, it tells you step by step what you need to be doing. Check the temperature here, read the meter, look at the meter there, look at the wiring and see if this is right. So step by step learning is broken down, and it is so learner centric, and it is real time. So I think the future is heading towards that. And in the morning we spoke about how artificial intelligence is actually pushing out a lot of jobs. I think we should take that seriously and not look at it as a threat alone. There's a lot of opportunity for bettering our skills. For example, at Knowledgescape, we do artificial intelligence for customer services training, right? So that's again, the moment of truth happens when your frontline folks are talking to your customers. How can you actually train people using artificial intelligence, where you have a virtual character, you're speaking to this person, he responds based on the choice of words and the tone of speech that you have. So personalized learning, I think, is going to be the future. I'll just end with a quote. They say that in 2020, the classroom will learn us. And that will happen through AI and analytics.
So,
I also would just like to make a quick point. In one sentence, I see future of learning as what he had actually begun with saying when he said about Eklavya. So learner centricity. The fact that there is an LNOD summit happening, the fact that there are LNOD functions in the organizations tend to give us a very wrong understanding that now it will be done by organization for me. So learning is going to be self-led more and more. I am going to decide which are the technologies, which are the ways, which are the methodologies that I'm going to be put to use. And those who are able to do self-led learning the best are going to be the future leaders. That's my answer to you.
So one concept which I want to leave you with, which Accenture is practicing, is called liquid workforce. So what we do is, there are projects, you need a lot of people. So instead of getting full-time support, what we do is we post it. We say this many hours, so people volunteer on projects and ensure that they do. So that's really the liquid workforce which is there. The other concept which we use is future ready. So which means that how do you ensure that the organization is ready for the future, whether it's in the learning space, in the hiring space, in the data space, in the shared services space, so all of that. So yeah, thank you very much, esteemed panel. I think we've run out of time. There is one question.
Just one. My question is, in order for our employees to be self-directed and autonomous, an organization needs to make an investment and to enable this 5A learning piece. So organizations have already been making investments in tools like Coursera, giving people access to Udacity, Udemy, and of course, Skillsoft and so all of that is investment. I want to really know what